you need, yep, cross, yep, yep. I'm like, I got you, baby. I keep throwing it. Don't worry about it.
So I had one of the most demoralizing training sessions like ever when I was down there. First, like I was fighting at 170. I had like 10 pro fights at the time. And I went down there and they're just showing me how to jab. Like I didn't realize how bad. I knew my striking wasn't good. I didn't realize how bad it was until I was there. And they're having me jab. No joke. I must have thrown 1,000 jabs in like one session. And I wanted to be like, man, you guys do anything else? But anyway, and then I came back and like, oh, you're going to spar today. I'm like, oh, thank God I'm not going to be jabbing. I got my shit pushed in by these little Dominican kids just beating the shit out of me. I'm like, ugh. And then they wanted me on the wall mount bag, and like now throw your power punch now. And I remember I was tired, like my jab's still sore from 2 days ago. And they're like 10 seconds. And I let out this girly, and they're like, everyone laughed at me. I'm like, oh God, I can't show my face around here anymore.
Oh man.
I tried like make an excuse. I'm like, it was the mouthpiece. It was the mouthpiece.
Gosh, I would have said the same thing. I would have been like, nah, it's the air quality in the Bronx, man.
Yeah. Oh man.
What's happening, y'all? We are back. We are live. This is Fight Court. I'm Din Thomas. That's Ryan Quinn. And it gives me great pleasure. Friend of the show. He's been on before. Victorious over the weekend. And I had to have him on again. And I already spoke to him today. So I hope he's not feeling like this is a bit redundant, but we're going to get right into it. Ramiz Brahimaj. What's going on, man?
How we feeling, baby? I'm feeling amazing.
I bet you are. So the first thing I want to get into, and we talked about this earlier, but this was such a good, inspirational story that you had about Daniel Cormier, because I'm right behind those guys. And right after you won, you put them to sleep, and you could just see your emotion just explode. And everybody saw it, and you just hopped on the cage and just started talking to DC while he's still on the broadcast. Can you just explain that, why you did that to the audience?
So in a pre-fight meetings, we always meet up with, let's say, like if it's a numbered card, obviously you're gonna speak with DC, John Anik, the whole squad, everybody. So this was the second time that I was actually doing my pre-fight interviews with Daniel Cormier, and MSG actually, he told me he knew a little bit about what was going on, my situation and all of that. And he just told me, he's like, just let it go. He said, none of that stuff matters right now. He said, this is your moment. You're here in New York. It's your hometown. And we just talked about what it means. Some people, they never have the opportunity to compete on the big stage, right? Or they compete at the big stage, but they choke, they fail. You know what I mean? And he just told me, he's like, just let it go and just come into your own, what you already are doing. He said, but just own it, completely own it. And, those little words that we exchanged, they kept resonating with me. And then they played in my head backstage also Saturday night when I fought at the Apex. So I just had to let him know, if you leave a good word with me, until I hit my deathbed, I'm always going to remember it.
Well, that's that New York loyalty, it seems. You go that street Bronx loyalty right there. Like, once you in, you in.
That's it, baby. Always.
But you seem to be coming into your own. Watching you fight now. Remember when we spoke before, you was talking about how you may have had confidence issues, and then when you fought Mickey Gall, you were able to deal with him pretty good. This time watching you go in there, you seemed very calm and relaxed. And now after you won, moving forward, it seems like you got a grasp of your confidence. Is that safe to say?
I would say that 100%. Obviously every single fight's different, but I had a lot of pressure on my last fight, and this fight this past Saturday came with pressures, but they came with different set of pressures. You see what I'm saying? I think we spoke about it earlier in the day, how every single fight is unique in its own manner. This fight, I'm not even joking you. I legit, I thought they were going to pull me backstage because I kept throwing up. You know what I mean? And it's not that I was nervous or anything. I'm telling you, they have no microwaves at the New York. So I hate that hotel right now. I'm just
They put y'all in the New York?
Well, yeah. I mean,
I didn't know y'all was still in the New York, because we used to stay in New York, but they got us out. So I didn't know they were still putting people in the New York.
Man, Dean, let me tell you something. The food over there is absolutely atrocious. It's nothing like in New York. Nothing like in New York. So I had a sandwich, man, and that thing just tore me up. Like before I even got on the shuttle, I was like, I had like diarrhea. I was throwing up. And then my brother's looking at me. He's like, "You good?" I was like, "Hell yeah, nah, we good, man." I was like, "Dude, you're gonna have to kill me to pull me out of this fight." I said, "Even with the opponent change, with everything, I don't care. I'm showing up. I'm ready. You know what I mean? Like this is what I do. You know." And in that moment, right before I walked out, I was like, you know what? This is what it is, you know? I remember I was throwing up in the trash can and the commissioner came over there. He's like, I need a doctor to look at you. I was like, no, no, no. Tell the doctor he could have an off day. He's been working hard enough in this event. You know what I mean? And so anyways, he came up to me, he was asking me, he's like, you usually throw up? I was like, man, I'm so nervous. I'm like making up a lie and everything like that. But in my head, I was like, you know what? I was like, this is what it is. You know, this is gonna be overcoming it, and it just added to my confidence because I was like, you know what? If I could do this right now, I'm gonna pull a Kamaru Usman at 30%. I could.
He'll never live that down, man. He should have never said that.
Nah, if I could pull this off in this state, in the state that I'm in right now, you know, I'm here. I'm here to stay, and that's just it. That's what it was, and I was actually very proud of overcoming that moment. And you know, it's crazy because sometimes we get these challenges, and they happen to us, and we're like, why? We get so upset. I've just learned how to let that go and accept them. You know what I mean? Like just tell myself, it's all good. Let's see. This is gonna make me crazier. It's gonna make me stronger. So it is what it is. Let's go, baby.
Dude, I had a similar situation once where before a fight, we went out to lunch, it was a bunch like corners and stuff like that. And I didn't see anything on the menu. I'm like, let me get this soup. And it was like an Asian spot too. I'm like, get this soup. So, but the soup was like spicy and it was like, ugh, like throughout the night. And then when you put them, so I'm like, I can't, I got to be careful. So now on fight day, like my lunch was always a baked potato. I'm like, nobody can screw up a baked potato. Just it's carbs, it's starch. I'll put butter on it, whatever, and I'll make a shake. But man, and Dean, as you know, I always come on here. I always talk big on Lerone Murphy. I'm like, that's my favorite fighter in the UFC right now. I think that might be changing. I think my favorite fighter in the UFC might be right here, right now. Maybe it's the New York connection. I don't know. But part of it, what I think is what I saw on Saturday night. Like I'm really big on, I always talk here, you get a lot of fighters and it's easier said than done. And I know that you work this and you clearly do it. First of all, I didn't even know you were the underdog in this fight. How did I know that?
Not just underdog. I mean, bro, they
Wasn't you
treated
the
me like
biggest
I
dog
was
on
a
the card?
chihuahua. They treated me like I was a chihuahua,
Dude.
not even a dog. They treated me like I was like an ankle biter.
I think you was the biggest dog on the card.
The biggest dog.
Damn, I missed out. I feel like I lost money. So, like you could tell, like a lot of times when I watch the fights, I don't have the sound on. One of the analysts, I can't stand him. No, but what do you call it? So I don't have the sound, but you could just tell your body language. You're in there. You're like, there's no odds. You know, this fucking movement, man. It was awesome. But one of the things I'm big on with fighters is really, truly mixing the martial arts together. Like I say about my man Lerone Murphy is, and you do it too. You don't box then wrestle, you box and wrestle. There's a big difference. You're able to chain it together and switch to the next thing and move. And it's so hard to difficult. It's so difficult to work with and work against, and it's so fun to watch. So just tell me how do you do that? How do you mix it in? What is maybe some drills or something you do, or just like it's sometimes people have it and they don't. That's part of it though, but you clearly do.
You know, I say this. The first place I ever stepped foot in was Morris Park Boxing Club when I was. I think like 10 or 11 years old in the Bronx, New York. So boxing is always, it's a toss up, right? Because as I got older, I fell in love with Jiu Jitsu. You know, like Jiu Jitsu has a big part of my heart, but boxing there's always gonna be that special connection to me because boxing was one of the first things that ever shaped my life. You know what I mean? And the first thing I ever put on was boxing gloves. But to get back to what we were talking about, how do I mix it up? I think it's just been trial and error, time and time again. Because, you know, it's not something you're born with. You know, like people say, oh yeah, some champions are born with it. Bullshit, man. Get out of here, bro. Champions are created. Champions are made. They're forged, right? True champions are forged through fire. So being able to train with Bilal, I love how he does his thing, his method, his approach to it. Training with Mike Valley, training with all of these different people that I've had the opportunity and the absolute privilege of training with, they've helped sharpen all of these skills up. You know what I mean? And now I get to draw from different geysers, right? All I do is I take my bucket, I go to a geyser, fill it up, go to the next one, fill it up, come back, fill it up, come back, fill it up. And there's just so much input that's going on that I think I almost foolproof it now. You know what I mean? And that's why I said I feel like I'm coming into my own day in and day out, you know, because I said this back at MSG when I was talking to DC and all of them. It's now it's like I have a hunger for knowledge, right? It's never enough for me. I want to keep learning. And whoever can teach me, my ears are going to be open and I'm fully receptive.
Awesome. You're like Bob Ross. You just take all the colors, mix them up,
That's
and paint
it.
your masterpiece.
That's it. That's how it is, man. And hopefully I could, you know, I really pray that I could always go in there and paint a masterpiece. You know, as I said, I mean, one day this journey is going to be over, and I hope when I look back, I could look at that mosaic, I could look at that painting, I could look at that artwork and be like, you know what, this is mine, and I want to display it to the world.
Awesome. Well, there was no question you were a performance of the night. Absolutely no question. What was the reaction when you went backstage? Was or even after with Mick or Dana or anybody? What was said?
I spoke to Sean. I think I
Sean, sorry.
saw Sean, and I think I saw Mark Ratner, if I'm not mistaken. And Mark was talking to me and my manager, and he said, "Hey, we're gonna get a booth set up for you on International Fight Week. We want you to be one of the featured fighters." I was like, "Dude, I'm all in it." You know what I mean? Like, this is what I'm in the game for. You know, I'm in the game. I'm in it to win it. I'm in it to see how far I can go, and I'm in it to be the best. You know, and to truly enjoy every part of it. But, you know, I just give Sean a special thank you because that's what was truly in my heart. You know what I mean? And I just let him know. I said, "Hey, man," I said, "Thank you. You know, thank you for all these opportunities." And I understand, you know, this fight came up on, it was a mix up. I was supposed to fight somebody completely different, which I was an underdog in that fight too. I was an underdog in this fight. I was overlooked, heavily underestimated, overlooked, whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to say. But I just told him, I said, you know what, past all of that, I said, thank you for this opportunity. You know, I've come with my set of luggage in the past, and I've had a lot of setbacks. I've had a lot of BS happen to me, and a lot of performances that I wasn't too proud of. I said, but you know, you never gave up on me. And I said, I never gave up on myself. And here we are now, you know, and I want to build off of this. And he said, no, absolutely. I agree with you.
Awesome.
Love that. We spoke a little earlier about your jiu-jitsu journey.
Yeah.
And I want to touch on that because you're a world champ. And this is something that we don't know. I'll tell you what, dude, the shot was clean. The shot was clean in the fight.
Man, I could wrestle too, brother.
Yeah,
You know, they say go 2-3 years in Dagestan. I went 2-3 months to Chicago and I trained with all the Russians over there. I have a joke. I say one day it's all Hispanics. So you're listening to, like, you know, you could probably have bachata, you could have Mexican music, you could have all this different type of music going on. Then the next day it's all Russians from like Kyrgyzstan, Dagestan, and you're just like, damn, bro, like nobody speaks English here. And it's just like, you know, like one practice it's hermano, the next practice it's braza. And it's just like, you're like, yeah, for sure. You're like, let's wrestle. The next practice is it's let's box Mexican style.
Love it. So give us some insight on your jiu-jitsu background.
For sure. So I won my first world championship in 2019. I went to the Anaheim Convention Center in Anaheim, California. Crazy. I did it on, I want to say 2 weeks notice. I was talking to my jiu-jitsu coach, Laurence, and he goes to me, he's like, yo, he's like, you wanna compete for worlds? He's like, dude, you've done, I want to say I'm upwards of like probably 200 or so matches. It has to be, man. I've been competing since I was 16 in jiu-jitsu. You know, it's one of those things. If I don't have a fight, sometimes I'll just look on the internet and I'm like, oh, jiu-jitsu tournament going on over here, or maybe I'll go drive down to Austin, or I'll go to like another city and I'll just be like, all right, let me just compete. You know what I mean? And I'll just go do open division or something. Just stroll on in there and just start competing. So it was 2 weeks before Worlds in California, and Laurence is like, yo, we got an Airbnb in Newport Beach. And I was like, hell yeah, man, let's go. You know, I never really seen SoCal like that. So went in, competed. I competed at heavyweight, and I had not a single point or an advantage scored on me. I wiped everybody out. I got, I think, all submissions. In my finals match, I had an Ohio State red shirt, I want to say, or something like that. and I think I like guillotined him in like 10 seconds.
Nice.
No kidding. Good for you,
Yeah,
man.
oh yeah.
That's what's
I
up.
love
And
jiu-jitsu.
you
It's got
still
my heart, man.
so to compete in jiu-jitsu, I always think that it's one, you got to be really, really good at it these days.
Oh, you do, man.
Yeah,
You see how tough these guys are now in
yeah.
jiu-jitsu, man?
Everybody. So I'm watching a lot of FPI stuff because I'm going to be commentating FPI in the summer. So I've been watching a lot of jiu-jitsu, and I'm just thinking, like, these guys are so good, and it's so different from MMA. So like the jiu-jitsu for MMA is completely different. How do you balance training jiu-jitsu for MMA and jiu-jitsu for competition?
Like I said, just that hunger for knowledge, right? That hunger
Yeah.
for more.
Not
I'll
impossible
go.
to do.
The thing about me, Dean, is that I'll go into somebody's wheelhouse. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like people are like, oh, I don't want to do that. I'll throw on a gi. I'll throw on a singlet. I'll go into an NCAA practice. I'll go into a Brazilian jiu-jitsu flip-flops and gis only practice. You know what I mean? And I'll throw my purple belt on and I'll scrap with anybody. I don't care. You know what I mean? And that's just how I've always been. So I think the balance is being able to see the best of both worlds, right? So I get to, whenever I'm here in Dallas, I train at a little spot called the Lions. It's like a pro practice that we have with Pedro Rocha, Stefan Banta, Joao, all of these A1 grapplers, man. These guys are just machines, dude. Like ADCC finalists, champs, competitors, and I get that look, right? And I get to go there, and every single one of them, they all tell me, they're like, man, like, dude, don't ever doubt that you have a future in pure jiu-jitsu after this too. You could do it right now, and I mean, you see it with Arman Saryukian and a lot of these guys that are doing ADXC and all of that stuff. I mean, dude, it's I love it. It's fun, and as long as my body could hold up, as long as I feel that a little bit of youthful exuberance, I'm always gonna get after it. You know what I mean? And yeah, just training in that environment, being able to switch it up from MMA style grappling to going into a pure jiu-jitsu room, I'm all about it.
Yeah, I
I
think
train. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I think it keeps you young and always hungry in the game because you always feel like a student when you do that.
Oh yeah, man. And you got these dudes, these ADCC guys that are like freaking trying to embarrass you, and you're like, you know what? Nah, I ain't gonna let that happen, man. I gotta hold it down for the MMA guys, baby.
I train at Alliance here in Coral Springs, Florida, in South Florida. So yeah, they're all over the place.
Yeah, man. There's some tough dudes, man. Some really tough dudes.
And I love how the instructors at all the gyms, whether satellite, they keep the curriculum unified, and they meet up. I think it's once or twice a year. Like it's still a family. So your guillotine is clearly on point. Everyone has their little niche to their guillotine. What do you find is yours? Like, I do this. Like what's your thing with your guillotine?
I'm gonna be honest, brother. What people don't understand about me is that I'm an opportunist. When it comes to jiu-jitsu, I feel like I'm getting to that wizard level to where I could catch you in anything. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people that train with me, they'll acknowledge that. I could attack legs, I could attack arms, I could attack every single thing, because when I first started jiu-jitsu, the first time I ever stepped on the mats, the first form of jiu-jitsu that I ever did wasn't necessarily jiu-jitsu, it was catch wrestling. And one of my first coaches, Mike Wright, he always told me, he's like, try to be dangerous from every single position.
Yep.
Do not ever let somebody feel comfortable on the ground. He said, if their head's not available, attack their arms. The arms are not available, attack the body lock. Body lock's not available, attack the legs. Go back to the head, go to the arms. I mean, that's just the way that I was taught, and I was taught an extremely aggressive grappling style to where it's not necessarily, it's cost me in fights, but now that I'm learning how to blend the control time, I think it just makes me all the more dangerous now, because with that control time, I can attack submissions from everywhere.
Awesome. So that's so great that you're going to be International Fight Week. I love that you're going to be there in that presence. No injuries, right? This last fight? Yeah,
no,
good.
no. I mean, I'm kind of settled down from this past weekend, and I feel pretty good. I just got a massage not too long ago, probably a few hours ago. So I was just telling my massage therapist, I was like, dude, I'm hurting right now. So I got a little adjustment, got all of that stuff, and I feel good. Got that little fight night gunk all out of me. So feels
Beautiful.
good now.
Cool. So when are we thinking again? When are you going to be back in the cage?
Honestly, man, sooner rather than later, to be honest. We got a couple of things that we're gonna handle from the business standpoint and take care of everything with the UFC. It's a lovely organization, best organization I think in my opinion in the world, and the only organization I see myself fighting for. So yeah, I definitely, who knows, man. I know that they got a card. They got a card coming up in Chicago. Um, I think it would be beautiful for me to be able to paint a picture out there in Chicago and kind of give back to that city that has definitely open arms, taking me in, and cared for me. Mike Valley, all the guys at VFS, Bilal, all of them, and hey, man, I wouldn't mind going up there in Chicago and beating up on somebody in August. Chicago weather's nice in the summer.
It
Hey,
is.
man, don't be saying all this good stuff about the UFC. Then 4 years from now, be like Phil Davis and them trying to sue him.
Hey,
that loss.
nah, man, I'm good on that.
I'm like, yo, what are
I
you
ain't never
guys
sued
doing?
nobody. I've been jumped. I've been all of that stuff. I ain't never sued nobody.
Yeah. So let's talk about your division, though, because I think right now the welterweights are hot again. For a while,
Yeah,
it's kind of
big
stale
time.
because you had all these guys at the top that didn't want to fight nobody, and it didn't move for a while. But now, I think it's hot. I know Bilal is your man. He just lost. We love Bilal, but it's still good for the division, because
yeah.
now we got some good movement, and it looks like you're going to be fitting right up in there. What do you think about the division right now?
I think it's, I would agree with you. I've always said 155, even though I'm a 170 pounder, has always been that division, man. I keep my eyes glued on 155. It's such an exciting division, but I truly, truly feel like welterweight is now stepping into its own, and it's becoming the 155 division, where welterweights are on fire, man. There's just so many exciting matchups, man. There's so many exciting fighters at 170, and I mean, you've just been seeing it, from the Michael Moraleses to the Ian Garys. Shavkat's going to be back in the mix. Sean Brady, and Bilal's going to be back in the mix. There's just so many dudes, and I see myself fitting really nicely up in there. You know what I mean? I definitely do. My goal remains the same. I want to keep winning my fights until I get a number next to my name, and then once I got a number next to my name, we rearrange our sights just a little bit, and we hone in on what we want to do.
All right. So I like to play matchmaker a little bit on here. It's good stuff to talk about. And I had this matchup in mind, but for someone else, not them anymore. Now, like you said, we're looking to get a number next to your name. Okay. And now whether it's the next fight, probably not, or the one after that, what if you were Donald Cerrone's return fight? What do you think?
I would not be opposed to that fight at all. Let me tell you something. I was gonna say this earlier today. There's one fight in my career when I first got to the UFC that I truly dreamed of, and that was Carlos Condit. Because, man, Dan Hardy, great dude, I love him, but I studied Carlos Condit like nobody's business, right? When I was in high school, I used to watch Carlos. I knew all of his flying knees. I knew everything. Donald Cerrone is no different. There are guys that are legends that like I said, before it's all said and done, when I paint that picture, I would love nothing more in the world out of sheer respect, not even to talk trash, but just to have those names on my resume. And I think I already have a pretty decent resume. I mean, when I got into the UFC, I don't think I really had my welcoming fight to the UFC was not an easy one. I've had pretty good names that I've fought, that I've shared the octagon with, that I've learned several lessons from, win, lose, or draw. But I would not be opposed to having Donald Cerrone or, dude, Neil Magny, Gunnar Nelson, any of these guys. It would be my honor, 100%. I oblige it, and I welcome it with open arms. You know what I mean? I would definitely love that. These are all guys that I watched when I was coming up. You know what I mean? And watching these dudes submit people, Carlos Condit knocking people out, Donald Cerrone head kicking people, freaking triangling dudes, just when he was on that run, it was insane. Obviously, I want to make sure that he's well tested now, because I know that dude's been. I know he's been eating good, and he got a hair transplant, so he's feeling himself a little bit.
He was over in Turkey getting that hair transplant.
He was on Turkish hairlines.
That's good.
I never heard that, but that's hilarious.
So yeah, no, 100%. I think that's a friggin' awesome matchup. I would love it,
Mm.
you know, and I definitely think that that's something that could be on a numbered card. I wouldn't mind bringing, inviting him back to the UFC, you know, and I think he's just one of those dudes. He's such a gamer, man. You know, it would absolutely be my honor. You know what I mean? And who knows, hell, man, maybe we fuck some shit up in the octagon, and then we after that we can hang out a little bit, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Ramiz, last one for me before I let you go, man, and that is, I just want to get your thoughts on something because you're getting a little spot at IFW International Fight Week, and that's a big deal. And I want to make sure that you're aware of that. And not that I'm trying to school you on some OG shit, but what I'm just saying is
School
like,
me. Listen,
I know the
me.
game.
You're
Like,
the OG here.
Yeah, like I know the game, and when the UFC starts to bring guys out and starts investing money in them, that means they see you in the future. You know, like if they're not doing stuff like that, or they not giving you love, like you came on the Matt Serra, Jim Norton Unfiltered podcast today. Like when they start giving you love like that, they start giving you opportunities. That means they see you in the future. How does that make you feel now, knowing it? Like there's some security here.
You know, I said this in interviews with the UFC. Dean, I love that and I want to feel that, but I don't think I could ever feel that. I don't think that there's ever going to be security in this line of work. You know what I mean? And it's good. It's not good to think that way, but in my eyes, it also is, right? Because now that's going to make me cherish this even more, right? I'm beyond privileged. I'm beyond honored. Do you understand? To see that my hard work is getting finally recognized, right? By the premier organization of the world. So there's nothing that means more to me than being recognized by the very company that I work, that I compete, that I put blood, sweat, tears, as cliche as that sounds, day in and day out. Nothing that means more to me than that. And it's one of the highest honors for me. And I welcome it with open arms, and I'm very thankful. You know what I mean? Because this is what I got into this for, you know? That little Ramiz that did not even know how to get to the UFC. You know, I would watch these dudes and I'd be like, how the hell do I even get there? You know, I was a 1-0 pro. I was like, how the hell do I even get there? Now to see that, you know, it feels like kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy. You know, it's like everything coming back full circle to be like, you know what? All of that grind, all of that stuff that you did, it's gonna pay off. So keep going. Don't let that little Ramiz down. Don't ever let him down. Keep going. Keep pushing. You know, and that's what I do it for, Dean. You know, that's what I do it for all those setbacks, and every single time that I would go home from practice and be like, damn, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? You know, or post fight, like, is this gonna pay off? Even in the UFC, I'd win and I'd still be like, man, this is gonna pay off. This is gonna pay off. Starting to see the fruits of my labor, you know, and it means a lot. It truly does, you know. So I welcome it with open arms, and it makes me feel great, Dean. You know, and like I said, you're the OG here, and any of the older fighters, any of the older people with more knowledge than me, they wanna shed some light and help a brother out. I'm all ears. I'm always gonna be all ears. Like I said earlier, I'm a very receptive person, and anything somebody teaches me and shows me to do in a different way, more likely than not, I'm gonna listen and I'm gonna try to apply it the best that I can.
Game, I got you. Anytime I got game for you, man, I got you.
My brother, I appreciate you, Dean. Thank you.
Well, I think you have an amazing mindset. You're really putting all together. I love it. And you made me think, a friend of mine said this to me a while back. It's like, I live life partly cloudy. It's like, what does that mean? It's like, it's always a beautiful day with a little room for improvement somewhere. You know, just be aware.
Oh man, I like that.
Yeah, just don't get too comfortable. You know, all right? Like you can be happy, but don't get too comfortable. Like that's a partly cloudy.
That's where I'm at right now. That's where I'm at. Like I said, even I told the UFC, I said, on my interviews, I said, I could be on a 10-fight win streak and my head and my ass is still on the chopping block. Because that's what keeps me hungry. You know, I'm a natural born go-getter. I don't forget where I'm from, but I definitely don't get too complacent, because the times that you get complacent, man, you get hurt. You get hurt, and you better not ever mistake it. You know, we're in a business that dudes are hungry, man. Dudes are very hungry.
Yeah.
And I gotta be on that Ozempic and kind of starve myself a little bit so I can always make room for more, baby.
I love your analogies, but Ramiz, man, we appreciate you.
Brother, thank you so much.
Appreciate
Congratulations
you
again, man.
Thank you
man.
guys so much.
So we'll catch up soon, man. You lay low, keep doing your thing, man. And anytime I feel like I need to give you some insight, man, I'm gonna check you.
You let me know, Dean. I'm all ears, baby.
No doubt.
Thank you guys. Much
all
love,
right, my man.
Respect, baby.
Peace
See
out.
you guys.
So, you know what might be a good matchup for him is Randy Brown. Like, that's who I was saving the Cerrone one for. But I think Randy Brown might be a good matchup with that guy too.
Yeah, I think Randy's a little further on. I think they're going to still slow build him a little more.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. True.
I think they're going to slow build him with one or two more fights and then start.
I don't want to rush. That's why I didn't bring that up. I think that I love everything the way his career is going. I think that it's fantastic. He's building himself, building the sport. It's the UFC needs people like him.
Yeah, for sure. I think they're gonna, and believe it or not, his post-fight antics and celebration was memorable. Like, it was really memorable, and it was so genuine and honest, and it was really memorable. Like, if he can continue to win and do things like that, like he put that hat on DC and like that shit, people was like sending me pictures of DC, said he looked like a cone head. John Marquez said he looked like a condom.
So, I was thinking, you said you had your friend from ESPN come in to Philadelphia, and you say this kind of was counter that, but this was special. Like you said, it was just his post fight was just special. You can't mimic it.
No. So it was, and it's not about, and that's the one thing that I want to stress too. It's not about fabricating something fake in order to sell. It's not about that. It's about being authentic, but sharing it with as many people as you can. And that's what he did. And that's why I think it went over so well, is that he was just straight up authentic. Like, he was like cried and was just really authentic and just shared it with, like, when he jumped on the cage and was talking to DC, like, that was a moment that I was like, yo, hold on, man. Keep this on, like, put the camera on this dude. Yeah. Like, I want to see this. And you remember things like that. It's not about necessarily always being the bad guy, but sometimes you can be the good guy, but be really fucking good and be honest about it.
Yeah. It's if you don't believe in your shtick, they ain't gonna either. He clearly, and his shtick is himself, and that's why that works so well. And
he's so real. So I think it's like we were talking earlier, like that whole New York Bronx thing. Like that whole.
It's very raw.
Yeah, it's very raw and just a very sensitive nerve. You can't really.
There was a young lady at my job today she was talking. She's from Orlando, then moved to South Florida, and she said, "Oh my God, I was at a Yankee game once, and when I was younger, looking back now, I would never walk those streets." I was like, "Oh yeah," and then I was like, "She goes, but seriously, you know what I mean?" I was like, "I guess so. I mean, I lived there till I was 13, so." But anyway, yeah, there's a bunch to unravel tonight. Before we move on to the next thing, I want to bring up what should have been the main event. Mm-hmm. Everyone who said they felt for Erin, mostly you, was catching a lot of heat on social media
for feeling for Erin.
Yeah. Somebody wrote somebody commented on our episode, like, "Shame on you, Dean," or something like that. I'm paraphrasing, but. I mean, I don't know why people aren't like, yeah, she said some things, but dude, she's caught up in a very, very stressful moment right there. Like, I felt you guys did a great job in the post fight talking about where does that energy and that adrenaline go when you're not walking in the cage. Like, she was ready to walk, and she's got a microphone in her face. She's trying to deal with this right now, and I think that she definitely deserves some empathy. I
mean, she's been preparing for weeks for a main event a main event in the UFC. She had a premonition that it wasn't going to happen. She got lambasted for saying, that it wasn't going to happen. And then it doesn't happen. And she misses out on an opportunity to stake her claim for a title shot. Of course.
Yeah. Agree.
This is why I don't read.
Yeah. I don't read. Shame on me. Not shame on you. Shame on me. Yeah. It's like, it's just, I mean, that's really unfortunate that Maycee had some health issues. I mean, a lot of people too, like I saw like Mike Dolce was saying, like, shame on you, Maycee. Like, Caesar's not really something you can plan, even if you are epileptic. I don't know if that's the case with her. But I feel that it's valid for Erin to be upset, plain and simple.
Well, my whole thing, listen, having empathy or sympathy for Erin doesn't take away from me wishing Maycee Barber gets healthy. It's got one doesn't have anything to do with the other one.
Apparently it does. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. You know, like, I understand why one fighter's upset while the other one, I hope that she gets better, you know, whatever, you know. Either way, yeah, it's unfortunate that happened. Ramiz had the most memorable fight, but we got a lot of stuff to talk about for 316 this weekend.
Oh yeah, 316. I forgot.
Yeah.
I don't know how I forgot. I just did a whole bunch of homework on the fight between Sean O'Malley and Merab. I'm working the desk this weekend for the pre-show, and me and Laura Sango, we do a little preview show as well. So I'm pretty knowledgeable of the situation going on this weekend. And I spoke to Merab today. He's just different, man. He's just built.
Yeah.
Like, when you see him, he's just so. I don't even know how to do. I've never met anybody like him. Like, just like so free and like careless, like without a care in the world, it seems, ever.
So when he came on here and you couldn't make it last minute, and he was told it was going to be Din Thomas, and then in comes this white dude with a Jets fucking, it was right before Christmas, with a Jets Santa Claus hat on. He's like, am I in the wrong room? But so you know, and he rolled with it like it was nobody's business. And then at the end I went, oh man, I wish I brought up how you took like we had stopped recording, and I was like, oh man, I wish I brought up how you took O'Malley's Michael Jackson jacket. And he goes, oh, why don't you just record again, and you got to edit in. Like, it was just like, yeah, let's just do it. He's just like chill, like free, and that's probably why his cardio is so amazing, because he's never worried. That's
exactly why his cardio is amazing. He's never tense. He's never tense. It's more psychological and neurological than physiological.
Yep.
And I don't think people understand that, because I think people see his cardio and think that he's like probably running every day and lifting weights and doing CrossFit and all this stuff. And Dennis Bazooka says he never does it. Like, he don't do any of that. Like, he might run every once in a while just for the hell of it, but he's just in the gym every day doing his thing. And you just can't make him uncomfortable. Like, that's just it. You can't get him to tense up. He's just always okay. He's always like, fine, I'm good, whatever, let's go.
Yeah. I like him again in this fight. I don't see any difference from the last fight. I think it's going to be him, a shutout.
There are some things that can be done differently for O'Malley. I think O'Malley had some success in the first. Here's what I think the key is going to be for both of these guys in this fight. O'Malley had some success in the first fight, limited, but the success he did have was really kind of good. If he goes back to the tape and goes, all right, man, I hurt him here, or I did this really well, and he's got to do more of that. Now for Merab, and I'm sure Merab probably doesn't study too much tape, so for John Wood, who probably studies the tape, he's got to go and say, all right, these are the danger areas, and we can't let this happen. We can't let him start kicking you to the body. You really got to watch out for that knee up the middle, because like Sean was looking for that in the first fight, and he kind of got away from it for a while. But when he threw it, man, he was inches away, and a few inches could have been the deciding factor of the fight and the different winner. So I think for the most part, this fight can play out very similar to the first fight, but he's got to watch out for those game-changing techniques, because one can change it all.
Yeah, because it's not just, to what you're saying, it's not just like he saw it, like O'Malley sees where he did damage, and it's how do I get to that danger zone? You know, how am I able to do a little bit more of that? Like, I just need to do a little bit, because let's say he did like 5 things that really hurt Merab.
let's say it was 5 moments. How do you get 5 more? Like how? That's
Yeah.
all we need is 5 more. Like 5 more, and I'm gonna catch him. Like with the odds and how good he is, all he needs is 5 more. So Merab's got to say, all right, last time he had 5, I gotta limit that. I gotta get it.
Yeah.
I gotta get it to 2. I can't let him have 5 moments.
Mitigation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting chess match, and I think the winner ultimately comes down to preparation and then obviously a little bit of luck, like if he can catch that one shot.
Yeah.
That's a little bit of luck involved, but preparation for sure. Who is going to learn the most from the first fight and prepare for those moments. But for the most part, I got to tell you, I think Merab gets it done again.
Okay. What do you got in the co-main event?
It's hard for me to bet against Kayla, so I'm not going to do it now either.
Yeah.
But I think it's a lot closer than people think. And if Julianna gets out of that second round, I think we might see an end still.
Really?
If she gets out of the second round, then there's a good chance she's going to get out of the third round. And if she gets out of that third round, I think Kayla's going to be hurting.
Okay. I think that, Julianna I think she's a very difficult opponent to train for. I think she's a lot better than people give her credit. And I know that's kind of a weird thing to say about the champion, someone who beat the greatest of all time, no less. But she's so awkward with the way she throws that like stabbing jab, you know what I'm saying? Like the way she just overextends herself. And when you get hit with jabs like that, it's like, it just kind of, it's not going to hurt you, especially because she doesn't have like really big, powerful follow-up, but it stops you. It stuns you for a second and it takes away your offense. And if you take away offense against a spastic fighter like that, it's going to be a real scoring exchange for Julianna. So I wouldn't be surprised if I saw Julianna win the first round, but after that, I think it's slowly going to snowball in Kayla's favor.
Yeah, I don't know about it. I can't see her winning the first round at all.
You don't see Julianna winning the first round?
No, I see
her.
Wow,
we are real far away.
I see her getting tossed around. I see Kayla coming out and just mauling her, just like throwing her down and just kind of just on top of her, maybe even cut her. That's why I think she's got to get out of it. I think she's got to get out of that first round, get out of that second round, and then go, all right, now let's fight. Because I think Kayla's going to come out hard and fast.
Maybe I'm just over analyzing that jab that I was just talking about then. Because I think Julianna? So I think that's going to be a big piece in the beginning of the fight. I think eventually that's going to get timed, or Julianna's going to have to figure out more. But if I'm Kayla, I know she's working her strike, and actually her head movement looks a lot better than it had in PFL. I would try to punch with that and throw an overhand, right? If I could see that coming in, just and then work my way in. Just you let my head movement to pick my punches. You know what I mean? As opposed to punch, and then I think that's how you beat that awkwardness. And if she connects with one, I don't think she puts out Julianna early with striking rather, but I think that it's going to get her to stop that jab, or at least think twice and slow it down.
Kayla's a southpaw, ain't she?
She is southpaw, yeah. So okay, then it's even better. Then throw the left hand. Yeah, sorry, yeah, left hand, but not 2-3. I'm talking 2-1. That's what I meant by that. Like move the head with the straight punch. That's what I meant. I don't know what the game plan is. I didn't talk to anybody about it at TT. That's just what I think.
I don't know, man. I'm curious to see her in a dog fight. For 5 rounds. In a dog fight for 5 rounds.
Larissa made it ugly and had success. Yeah.
And I mean, this is a completely different weight class, and she can't be used to competing at the weight she's going to be competing at on Saturday night. Like she's not used to training. She can't be used to. I don't know how much she's going to weigh in on Saturday, but I don't know.
Wait, what do you mean? She's fought at the weight before.
Yeah, but not 5 rounds.
Oh, not 5 rounds.
In a dogfight.
Oh, that's right. It hasn't been 5 rounds. That's right. It hasn't been 5 rounds. You're right.
In PFL, she was at 155.
Yes. No, I wasn't thinking of the 5 round. It was 3-round fights while she's been in the UFC.
Yeah, even so in the UFC, she fought Holly Holm, who basically she annihilated early, and then Ketlin Vieira, who didn't really take it to her. You know, Ketlin Vieira gave her too much respect, high-fiving her, you know, so
Mhm.
she's not going to have to worry about that with Julianna. Julianna's going to take it to her. So it's going to be interesting to see how she holds up, like how her body holds up after dealing with this weight cut. I think
Yep.
it's too much, honestly. I do. And I think it's one of them situations where, you know, she wanted to be champion. This is the only division she can do it in. So she's going to take a bite at it. But I think it's going to be a situation where it's possibly more than she can chew.
Okay.
And with that said, I'm still picking her to win. But
Yeah.
if she doesn't win, then I'm attributing that to it was a little more. She bit off a little more than she could chew.
Those championship rounds, just carrying the gas, like it's kind of like you know, like in well, it happens in baseball, doesn't happen in basketball, but like there's earlier on in the playoffs, it's best of 5 series. So and then later on, it's best of 7. It's like there's your rotation. How do you hold up like that? So I get what you're saying.
Yeah, and I talked to Chiesa about this. You know, Chiesa's obviously picking Julianna. He can't not because she'd stab him. But he was just saying like she's gonna fight from every position. Like there's never gonna be a time where she's not fighting and looking for offense and looking to hurt you. So even if she's taken down, she's gonna be punching and elbowing and scratching.
Yeah.
Every position, she's always going to be. So she's not going to allow Kayla to get comfortable.
She's feisty. Yeah.
Yeah, she's not going to allow Kayla to get comfortable. So that could be dangerous. It'll be interesting to see how Kayla deals with that. You know, I mean, we know she's a good competitor, but she's going to have to fight.
Mm-hmm.
So competing and fighting are different. She's going to have to fight.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. So what else you got? What else is catching your mind on this card?
I don't know. Kevin Holland, Vicente Luque.
We talk the same thing every Kevin Holland fight. I feel like you and I, there's like a piece of us in the back of our head that sharp ass Kevin Holland is going to show up, and then he doesn't.
and then when I go, man, I'm done picking Kevin.
Yeah.
He shows up.
Yeah, he's like a bad ex-girlfriend. Just then we get back on the train. Like he's like, we're good, you know, like we're getting back.
Yeah. Oh, so, one last thing, and has nothing to do with this card. I just kind of wanted to throw it out there just for your opinion, and that was Khabib. You saw the thing that happened to Khabib, and the reporter she went to shake his hand, and he was like, and he just put his hand on his chest and was like, "Nah, I'm good." You know. Like,
yeah.
So he caught a lot of shit for that. Like for whatever reason, he caught a lot of shit for that, for not shaking her hand, and like he went around the table. It was at the soccer game, and he went around the table. Shook everybody's hand except for hers, and he caught a lot. But that's his religion.
Yeah, I was gonna say you took the words out of my mouth. That's unfair. I didn't realize that was the. I saw.
So whatever your religion, I hate the fact that we're judging him on our standards based on his religion, and I hate that for him. I think it's so unfair and so hypocritical.
It's so unfair. It's kind of disgusting, to be honest.
It is. It's extremely disgusting, actually, because like. And she knew too, because like when she actually said, when she pulled her hand away, she was like, "Oh, I'm sorry." So she knew too. So it wasn't. And when people go, "Why?" It's like, dude, it's not malice. It's actually out of respect.
Yeah, yeah. You just reminded me of something. We there was an Orthodox Jew who trained grappling with us at Alliance, and he wouldn't grapple when, like, let's say there was, like, everyone gets paired up and there's only a woman. You know, and he's like, "Hey, I'm sorry, no offense." And then I would just, "All right, I'll go with her. You know, you go." I don't know why anyone wouldn't respect that as it's part of their religion. That's kind of pathetic that people.
It is,
right? Feel about
it's extremely pathetic.
It's petty, and it's like I said, it's disgusting.
Yeah, I wanted to throw that out there. How I felt for him in that. Well, I'm sure he doesn't probably care all that much, but it's not more so me feeling for him, but it's just more so me understanding the society that we live in, that people are still going to judge you based on their standards for your standards. It's like, dude, it's his religion. They don't do this. So let him live.
Yeah. And like, I'm not coming at, like, I have my opinions and I'm high and mighty. And you know what? I bet the first opinion I have on things is probably really shitty, but especially now that I'm older, at least I take the time to educate myself as to why something is the way it is, and that's exactly what people should do here. He knew the cameras were on him, so clearly there's a reason why he held back. I just don't know why people just don't take a step back and like, hey, is that part of his religion? You know, or something like that's what we, oh, maybe it's his religion, but you know, we spend a lot of time around people from Dagestan and stuff like that. So, but, or Muslims for that matter. But, yeah, I think that's extremely unfair. And I think that people need to just grow up. You know, we have Google right here. We have ChatGPT, we have AI. Why didn't Khabib shake that woman's hand? You know, like that's all you got to do. And before you get trigger happy with your fingers, it's sad, man.
I mean, it's the exact opposite of what we'd want. Like, I don't want some creep feeling up women. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's the exact opposite. It's like their religion, like they don't touch women that they're not in a relationship with. Like, if I'm not in a relationship with you, I'm not allowed to touch you.
Yeah.
No problem.
I'm with it.
Yeah,
I'm with it. So
okay, that's your problem. That's your religion. No problem.
Yeah.
I don't understand what the uproar was. I don't know. It kind of bothered me, actually. I felt like it was a bit disgusting and unfair to Khabib for that reason. It's his religion. So, but that's all, my man. That's all.
All right. Good stuff.
All right. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, hit like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't and you made it this far, hit like, share, and subscribe. On that note, this court is adjourned.